having a competition heeling dog. These are going to be pretty basic videos, not in too much detail, obviously. But today we're just going to go through the first part of how I teach my dog the exercise of competition heeling. If you're not familiar with competition heeling, it's a very precise behavior, not like you would heel when you're going for a walk. The dog has to be in line with your left leg, they have to be focused on you, they have to pivot in place as you turn, they have to be able to back up with you as you back up, so it's a very complex behavior for the dog. Because of that, here at Canine Connection, we like to teach it in very small parts. So the first step that I teach a dog is just the body mechanics of how to pivot in place. It's actually a pretty hard thing for a dog to do if I'm standing still and my dog is next to me and I make a turn for my dog to stay where they are and turn exactly in line with my body in both directions. That's a hard skill, and to me that's a very, very important skill for my dog to be able to find the position of heel. So today I'm going to show how I start to teach the pivots. The second video I make will show what I call entrances into heel, which is showing the dog how to actually get into position from the front, the side, and the back. And that's the second thing that I teach. So to teach pivots, I like to teach the dog to keep their front feet on an object. Sometimes I'll also teach a dog to keep all 4 feet on a larger object. It really depends on the dog. Lobo here has, when I began with him, a hard time with the pivots. He has a long body, and so staying on a larger square with all 4 feet, he found it difficult to turn because he could really reach a food lure anywhere I put it without having to move his back legs at all. So what I found with him is that it was much better, much easier for him to learn how to pivot with just his front 2 feet on a small object where he could freely swing his back end around. So that's the way I started with him. So I use a command here. I just call it touch. You can call it whatever you want. I call place when they have all 4 feet on, but since it's just 2 feet, I'm calling it touch. So that's the first step. Teaching touch is super easy. All you have to do is lower your dog on there. When he gets to the object, mark it and reward it and do it repeatedly. So he already knows it, but I'll demonstrate. Lobo, come here. Touch. Yes, good boy. So he knows when I say touch, he only gets fed if his feet are there. Break. Good boy, buddy. So once he's there, we need to start teaching him how to turn his back legs, how to turn his back legs on the object without his front feet leaving. So in the beginning, I'm just facing the dog, and I'm going to rotate my body around and use a food lure to rotate him. And there's a couple keys here. You don't want to have the food lure too far out. It's going to force the dog to step off. I like to put it a little bit above their head because we want to shape for the dog that we want their head up. But that's also going to force them to pivot their body without turning their neck in a really elongated way like this. If it's up high, their head is up, and they twist their head, their body's going to follow very closely. So again, I'll demonstrate. Go over here. Touch. Good boy. So once he's here, we start to turn. And as soon as he moves his feet a little, yes, we mark and reward. You want to mark as the dog's feet are moving. It's the movement that we're rewarding, not the position here. Yes. Yes. And you want to continue this until you can move pretty freely around the board and have the dog move right along with you. Yes. You'll notice if I put the food down too low and out here, how he stretches his body and steps off. We don't want that to happen. Touch. Keep it up high, centered over the board. He thinks it's in my other hand, that's okay. Yes. Good boy. Yes. So once your dog is moving freely, then we can move on to the next step. Now, that step may take you 2 minutes, it might take you 2 days, depending on the dog and how easy they find it to move their body in that way. If you're starting with a puppy, it's going to be a lot easier because that dog is young and they haven't built any habits yet as far as how they move their body. This guy here is 14 months old and I just got him. So who knows what he was learning before. He didn't really know any obedience commands. And moving his body in that way was totally new. So it did take me a little bit longer, it took me a few days to get him to the point where he would really freely move his body back and forth. Now, once we have that step, then you want to get the dog used to turning if he's in a position next to you instead of facing you. And again, for some dogs, that'll be a very easy step. For some dogs, it'll be a very hard step. As you can see, Lobo has not quite learned not to jump on me for food yet. Lobo touch. So again, once he's here, don't worry too much about perfect position. Yes. Just start turning, marking, and rewarding. Yes. Going backwards is actually a little bit easier for the dog, so you can use your body to block that. Yes. Yes. Good boy. I really wanted to mark that one because he almost stepped off, but he caught himself. Good boy. Great. So, I like to teach my dogs both a heel position and a right side heel position. If you're going to do that, it's probably in your best interest to start teaching your dog the mechanics of being on both sides of your body. So you're going to want to do it both ways. So this time I'll put him on the right. Yes. And start having him learn to turn this way. Yes. Nope. Touch. If he steps off, just ask him to get back on. Yes. And he only gets fed when his feet are there. So he learns it's in his best interest to keep his feet there. So, now he's turning nicely. He's turning nicely at our sides. Now we want to start to build correct position. So actually start to ask him to line up a bit better. And this is where using a square can be very helpful because the sides of the square will help the dog line up. If his front feet are on the very edge of it, he's going to be a little bit square. So you can use your body on the edges of the square to help him. And once he gets smooth, this is where you would add the heel command in. So first, we want to make sure we can get him in position. Yes. Yes, good boy. Now a key point here is I like to deliver food from behind me. Notice how his head stays up nice and high. Yes. And then if I turn, I want him to line up again. Yes. Turn again. Yes. Good boy. And back the other way. You messed that one up, so we're going to try again. Turn again. You see this is a little bit harder for him when he's focused. A little slower to help him. Yes. Now he didn't line up perfectly, but because he fell off twice, I really wanted to reward just him turning properly so he could see a bit of success. That way he doesn't get frustrated. So we'll try one more time. Line him up. Yes. Good. That was much better. Great. And again, you're going to want to do that on both sides so the dog can learn how to line up with your body on both sides if you intend on heeling on both sides. If you only intend on using heel on one side, then it doesn't really matter. So again, line him up over here. It's got to be straight. Yes. Keep in mind always as you're steering the dog with your hand to keep it high up and above the board. If it's not above the board, the dog will step off. Load food behind my back. Line him up. Yes. Yes. Again, he overshot there. Gonna fix him. Yes. Again. Nope. Steer him. Yes. So you see how by starting with lowering the dog with your hand turning, you've given yourself a nice tool here to basically power steer the dog if he overshoots. I can steer him any way I want to just by moving my hand. Yes. It works very, very nicely for teaching dog in proper position with no force whatsoever. Steer him. Yes. So, once we've got this starting to look nice, then we can begin to add the command in so that he starts to understand to line up with our body on command. I use Creole commands, if you remember, for this dog. So the heel command is talon. The right side command is papre. So I'm going to start by getting him on the board. Touch. Good boy. Then I'll give the command. Talon. Lower him. Yes. Always the command comes before the lower. Always. Talon. Yes. And we do this with enough repetition. Yes. Until the dog begins to line himself up. Yes. I'm marking and rewarding him for staying in position here. Yes. Notice the hand always returns to behind my back. Yes. The reason I do that, if the food's coming from the front, the dog will have a tendency to want to tilt himself and wrap around your body. So we keep it behind so he stays with his head up and lined up properly. Yes. Good boy. Table. Yes. There he moved himself, no lower, and that's what we want to start to create. Table. Yes. Good boy. Good. A little bit too far. You can steer on the table. Yes. Good. Great. And again, same thing on the right hand side. Touch. Good boy. he has a harder time with this side. Padre. Yes. Padre. Yes. Yes. Good boy. Padre. Yes. Yes. Good boy. Again, notice how I'm able to steer the dog. Great. So I will continue with this step with Lobo until I get to the point that I can move completely around the board in both directions, on both sides, and he will line himself up to my leg without me using any food lure, meaning my hands can be behind my back or at my side. If I step around the board, he turns with me. I don't have to fix him at all. Once he's doing that with pretty good reliability, again, we don't expect any dog to be 100%, but as close to it as we can get, that's when I will begin my next step. Should have turned that off prior to filming, apologize. That's when I will begin the next step of starting the entrances, and that's where we'll pick up on